The other day, my son pointed out the window and said, "Look, Daddy, it's the sun," because he hadn't seen it in about 2 weeks. Well, we've seen what effects the rain has had here on some crops in Louisiana. But in this week's Bottom Line, Neil Melancon shows us the bigger picture for planting here in the U.S.
The Bottom Line is brought to you by the Cotton Board, strengthening the fiber of our industry.
Well, we finally gotten a drier weather pattern across much of Louisiana, but the rain we did get came at a critical time in our planting season. According to the National Agricultural Statistics Service, the week ending April 19th saw only 1.5 days suitable for field work. Many of you out there might be asking, what day and a half of field work? As for many folks, it just rained every day for a while there. Still, some of the crops did get in the ground, and it really depends on which crop and which area you're talking about. Taking a look at the overall picture, soybeans and sorghum were the two biggest crops impacted by the rain. Bean plantings are about half of where they were last year and more than 10% behind the 5-year average. Sorghum planting is in even worse shape at less than 45% planted so far, compared with 72% on average. Sorghum and beans only got a sliver of planting done in the middle of April, going up by 2 and 3 percentage points respectively week to week. Corn planting was mostly in the ground when the rains hit, but many farmers were hoping to finish by the April 15th cutoff date. As you can see, planting is only slightly behind average, but the question does arise how much corn will need to get replanted, and as we're staring down May, how much of that replanted corn will get good yields. I guess we'll see. Finally, rice seems to be right in line with the normal crop year. In addition to being on track for planting, emergence is ahead of both last year and the 5-year average as well. Most rice farmers also didn't have to run pumps with all that rain, and right now with prices sinking to or below $10 a hundredweight, they need all the help they can get. The bottom line for Louisiana is the same for most of the country. While wet weather did delay planting in many areas, the crop year is off to a good start. Now, this is not necessarily good for prices long term, though, as each USDA report keeps ramping up the amount of stocks we have. I know farmers, though, would rather make a crop than have weather be the cause of a shortfall in supplies. But with the value sharply off last year, we're going to have a whole lot of export demand to make up for all this volume. And Avery, if you go back to the March 31st Prospective Plantings report, that report lasted, I guess, about a day, before it was just completely obsolete. Not only did farmers change their positions based on that report, but now with all this weather, not just here in Louisiana, but across the country, they've had rain. It's just changing everything. Farmers are just doing what they have to do.
It's amazing just how unpredictable, even in this day and age, things can be. And speaking of unpredictable, Neil and I can be quite unpredictable because we wear our nerddom proudly in public. So, Carrie, if you could please pull up this picture. When Dr. Ross Pruitt said he was going to New Zealand, I asked him if he was going here.
Hobbiton.
That is Hobbiton, where Peter Jackson shot his films for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And you see, there we go. You've got
you can see the scale.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. And this tree right here is not even real, according to Dr. Pruitt. They built that as a prop so they'd have the right kind of tree behind Hobbiton. But here's what's really cool. It's still a working ranch. They have sheep there. They have cattle there. So agriculture still plays a part.
Sheep, of course, is big. You said about 63% of New Zealand's agriculture, about 80% of that, I'm sure, is sheep. Interesting thing is, one of these shots, I think it was maybe this one or one from a different angle, there's a road, and in the Lord of the Rings movies, you can see a car slowly driving.
Oh, really? I'll have to pay attention next time I watch it. It's been way too many times that I've seen it. Thank you very much, Neil Melancon. Thanks for nerding out with me. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll nerd out again, but also take you to Alexandria for the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation Young Farmers and Ranchers Livestock Show. It's going to be a good time. Until then, you can watch any of our stories online. Go to our website, twilatv.org, and be sure to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. For all of us here at TWILA, I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.